never thought about that.
You know that feeling, right? That strange, tingly sensation? A sudden chill runs up your spine, and then, boom, the hairs on your arms are standing on end, creating this whole landscape of tiny bumps. It happens to literally everyone. But have you ever stopped and wondered what's actually going on? Well, today, we're pulling back the curtain on the secrets behind goosebumps. So, let's just get right to the heart of it. Why do we get them? I mean, it's a fascinating question, mostly because the triggers are so wildly different. A cold breeze? Okay, that kind of makes sense. But a scary movie? Or a piece of music that just floors you? All of those things can cause the exact same physical reaction. How does that even work? So first up, let's just take a look at how wide-ranging these triggers really are. It's pretty amazing that this one specific reaction is tied to a whole spectrum of physical feelings and really deep emotions. I mean, just look at this list. On the one hand, you've got something purely physical, like a blast of cold air. Simple enough. But then you've got these completely emotional triggers, like awe or fear. It is truly bizarre that all these different inputs lead to the exact same output, that weird, bumpy skin that, let's be honest, kind of makes us look like a plucked chicken. Okay, so let's dive in. To really get what's happening on the surface, we've got to zoom way in and check out the tiny machinery working just underneath your skin. So, meet the star of our show, the erector pili. It's this minuscule, involuntary muscle attached to the bottom of every single hair follicle you have. You can't control it, you can't even feel it, but this little thing is the tiny engine that powers every single goosebump you've ever had. So what you're seeing here is a surprisingly simple chain reaction. It doesn't matter if the trigger is a cold wind or a killer guitar solo, your brain senses it and sends a signal zipping down your nervous system. That signal tells the tiny erector pili muscle to contract, and just like that, poof, the muscle pulls the hair straight up, creating the little bump we call a goosebump. So we've got the how down pat, but the why? Well, the why is where this story gets really amazing. This simple reflex isn't just some weird quirk, it's what's left of a genuine prehistoric superpower that we've inherited. Yep. To understand why your skin does this today, we have to go way, way back in time, back to when our ancestors looked a whole lot different than we do. Goosebumps are basically a little ghost, a message from our deep evolutionary history. And this chart really lays it all out. The mechanism, that erector pili muscle, it's exactly the same in us as it was in our ancient, much hairier relatives. The big, and I mean big, difference is the body covering. They had a dense coat of fur, which made this reflex incredibly useful. For us, well, it's what scientists call a vestigial trait, a leftover feature that doesn't really do its original job anymore. And really, this is the core aha moment. All the hardware is still installed in our bodies, but we're missing the key accessory that made the whole system work so well in the first place, a full coat of fur. So what were these awesome original benefits? Well, first, it was all about trapping heat. When all those hairs stood up, they trapped a layer of air right next to the skin, and that acted as a natural insulator. It was literally like putting on a tiny invisible jacket. And second, it was about looking bigger. You know how a cat puffs up its fur when it's scared? Same idea. Our ancestors could make themselves look larger and way more intimidating to scare off any predators that were thinking of messing with them. A genuine survival tool. Okay, so that explains our furry ancestors. But that brings us right back to today. If this was all about keeping warm and scaring off saber-toothed tigers, why on earth do we still get goosebumps from a beautiful song? And the answer is, that system never actually went away. It's still hardwired into our brains, into our nervous systems. That ancient fight-or-flight response is still there, just waiting for a reason to kick in. And this, right here, is the final piece of the puzzle. Those really powerful emotional experiences, profound beauty, inspiration, sheer terror, they can be so intense that they actually hijack that same primitive part of our brain that's responsible for survival. Our body, it doesn't really know the difference between a real physical threat and an overwhelming emotional peak. It just gets an intense signal and fires up the old system, and those erector pili muscles get the call to action. So let's wrap this all up. Goosebumps are just tiny muscles pulling our hairs straight up. This reflex is an evolutionary echo from our furry ancestors who used it to stay warm and look scary. And today, that very same ancient wiring gets tripped not just by the cold, but by our most powerful emotions. It really makes you think, doesn't it? Every single time you get that tingle down your spine, you're experiencing a direct, physical link to your prehistoric past. So, that just leaves us with a final question to ponder. What other ancient secrets, what other forgotten superpowers does your body hold, just waiting to be rediscovered?
That's just one tiny big question. Imagine what's next, subscribe, and let's keep wondering.